Your Words Destroyed My Planet, the stream series, the edited version. Originally streamed live at twitch.tv/dualitiesdownfall. More information in the description. Welcome to Your Words Destroyed My Planet, Chapter 2. It really hurts you to see Solix so badly hurt, and what's worse is it's one of your other friends who's done it to him. You like Aradia. She's always fun and adventurous. You'd thought that she was that free-spirited, upbeat, and almost zen calm that Solix really needed in his life. They were two dorky nerds in pity with each other, or so you'd thought. You suppose that both you and Solix were mistaken there. It's hard to even be angry at Aradia. It's not as if she deliberately hurt Solix, but the fact is that he's still devastated, no matter what she intended. It's not like Solix is blameless either with that dumb stunt, but he sure as shit didn't deserve this. It's clearly a bigger issue revealed by a stupid mistake. You're rubbing your temples as you walk into your respite block. Gamzee looks over at you from your bed as you backhand the button to shut the door behind you and go back to trying to fix this building's stress headache. Don't worry yourself about it, Gamzee advises, holding out a hand to you. That's not really an option here. I need to fix this. You sigh and cross your messy respite block to get to the bed. Gamzee holds up his arm with the edge of the covers in hand, so it's easy for you to slide under them with him. It ain't your problem. This is between him and her, you know? Gamzee says, dragging you closer. It's past that. He can't go back there, and I know you don't want him here, you point out. Gamzee's breathing is controlled and stiff for a moment before he relaxes into a shrug, pretending that he doesn't care. You're not dumb enough to believe that. I'm not about to tell you that you can't have him here, Gamzee says casually. Yeah, because Solix is your best friend, and you're not kicking him out to appease Gamzee. Gamzee demanding that of you would be one hell of a fight, and despite what most people say about him, your Moirail isn't stupid. So, I need to find somewhere for him. So, this is my problem too, you explain. Gamzee makes a noise of vague agreement and hauls you over so you're sprawled across his chest. His hands stroke absently down your back, and despite the stress, it is soothing you at least a little. I just don't understand how it happened. They always seem so happy, right? You ask him. Never heard her say much bad about him at work, Gamzee agrees. His job puts him in contact with Aradia whenever your ship gets to a planet where she can be useful. You know they're part of the same social groups, but then so is Dave, and you're pretty sure that Dave never willingly hangs out with Gamzee. You had to endure enough of that particular mutual dislike when you were all at school. At best, they tolerate each other now. Maybe you could ask Dave if he knows anything about what's going on with Aradia. They're pretty close as far as you know, but you can't really ask him now without spreading Solix's business around. Maybe you can pick his brains later when it's more common knowledge. Assuming you can find any brains to pick. You've got favors you can call in with people at work to try to speed Solix's housing request along, but equally you're not totally happy about him living on his own. Maybe you could see if his Lucis might take him back? Shit, no. Solix would never agree to that. You can't think of anyone else you know who's got a space for him to move in. At least, not on a permanent basis, anyway. Shit. Shoosh, stop worrying and sleep, Gamzee reminds you. He drags a hand through your hair and presses the heel of his palm between your horns, making your mind go a little fuzzy-edged. I know, you mumble. You don't really have an excuse to give him. Your Moirail sighs and rolls over. He drags you with him, so he's mostly laying on top of you, his body weight like a heavy blanket to stop your anxious fidgeting. You drift into sleep like that, with him weighing down your body as much as your thoughts weigh down your mind. When your alarm on your watch buzzes you awake, you find that you're in bed alone. Blearily, you sit up, remember the events of last night, and take a moment to compose yourself. You have shit to get done today. You dress as quickly as you can, and when you step out into the main area of your hive, your blood pressure kind of falls a bit. Solix is dressed in his suit again and staring down Gamzee, who's sprawled himself over the arm of your lounge plank. Gamzee is staring right back at Solix with the same intensity, and you could cut the tension in the room with a knife. Great. It's no secret to anyone that your Moirail and your best friend loathe each other. You know they only tolerate each other's presence for your sake, but it's all pretty fucking draining for you. Gamzee seems to be under the impression that Solix is waiting in the shadows to turn you against him, break you up, and steal you for himself. Meanwhile, Solix clearly thinks that Gamzee is one bad joke away from homicide, and that anything would be better than you having Gamzee as a moirail. Solix has gone so far as, on several occasions, to gently and very earnestly insist that if anything was ever wrong between you and Gamzee, that his and Aradia's place was always open to you, and he'd have your back no matter what. The thing is that neither of them are right. Sure, Gamzee can be pretty unstable, and his temper can snap sometimes, but it's not as if Solix is the picture of stable mental health either. Gamzee's job gets him all the outlet for his physical strength and the experience of danger that he needs to be fine. Sure, he's not perfect, but he meshes with your particular needs in a relationship far better than you believe anyone else could. It's not as if you're the easiest troll to be with yourself. As for Solix, yeah, you know he has a thing for you. It's not a secret. Nor is it a secret that you've felt the same way before. But Solix's romantic needs and yours aren't a good fit, and you're not about to throw a lifetime of friendship away for that, and nor is he. Solix wouldn't break you and Gamzee up, and Gamzee isn't about to lose his shit on you either. Neither of them are right, and neither of them are completely wrong. And both of them hate each other and care about you, so here you all are. I'm going to work, Solix says, instead of hello or good morning. Are you sure? I wouldn't think you want to deal with people today or anything, you say uneasily. I won't. Hal owes me, Solix says simply. Right. Gamzee, would you go get breakfast? I still have to get ready. And put clothes on, or else I'm just gonna wind up having to deal with you at work, you ask as you walk over to the lounge plank. Gamzee tips his head back lazily, deftly avoiding hitting you with his horns. He has a sense of spatial awareness with them that you just can never understand, what with your worthless little set. Oh, an errand and clothes? What do I get if I do that? Gamzee asks with a lazy smile. Breakfast and no HR complaints, you tell him, catching one spiral horn and tipping his head back further so you can kiss him on the forehead. Okay. Anything for you, little crab man. Gamzee grins and unfolds himself to stand up. He shakes your hand off of his horn and walks back to your respite block to change. You shift your attention to Solix. You kind of expected that irritated look he gets around Gamzee, but no, he looks like he's a million miles away staring at the floor. Thinking about Aradia, no doubt. Did you sleep okay? You ask him softly. Not really, Solix mumbles and looks at you again. We'll get food, take you to work, and then I'll go to my office and try to sort this out for you, okay? You tell him. It's not really a question, it is what's going to happen, but you can at least try to get him involved in it. Solix is still too lost in his own thoughts to really talk much. He doesn't even react when Gamzee leaves to get food. When he's out, you finish getting ready and keep an eye on Solix as you do. Gamzee returns with bagels, and you hand a sweet one to Solix, not that he seems to really notice what he's eating. You're only halfway through yours before you can't take the mental strain of the situation anymore. All right, let's just go. At least, if I get you to Hal, then I can get started on fixing this for you sooner, and you can talk to him. Come on, you insist, and usher Solix to his feet. Gamzee gives you a lazy wave as you leave with Solix. Solix's work isn't incredibly near yours, being that your work is located in the admin and social work sector of the ship, and he's about midway between that and engineering. Given the size of your ship, that's actually quite the distance, so leaving a little early is smart. You walk into the IT department to find that there's no one at the front desk at all, and the mirrored wall that separates the desk from the actual office just shows you and Solix. You actually want to talk to Hal, so you hit the bell on the desk to get his attention from wherever he is. You know that's not connected, right? Solix says flatly. What? Why not? You ask. If it was, people would be ringing it all the time trying to get us to fix their problems, he says with a shrug. That's literally your job, you exclaim. Solix shrugs, as if the fact that his job is ostensibly helping people is more other people's problem than his. The door to the back opens, the mirrored surface swinging open to show a slightly surprised-looking Hal there. Why are you still in your suit? Hal asks in surprise. Solix mumbles something indecipherable and pushes past him to get into the back and shuts the door after himself. Hal's bewildered gaze goes from the door to you as if this is now your job to explain. He and Aradia broke up, you say gravely. Did he still not tell you that? Hal starts with a grin pulling at the edge of his mouth. You need You need him to cut that out right away. No, for real. I don't know if he wants me to tell you all the details, but I don't think it's your fault. It just... Yeah. I need to find somewhere for him to stay now, and he really can't stay on my lounge plank long term. He probably doesn't want to do that short term either. You admit that last part with a wince. Wait, are you shitting me? But they were... Hal falters, and you just nod grimly. Hal's eyes go wide behind his yellow-tinted blue light glasses, and he glances back at the mirrored wall like he can see Solix through it. When he looks back at you, Hal looks a little bit ill. Fuck, that's... Man, I feel awful. He's staying with you, though? I thought he and Gamzee were perpetually 2 seconds away from some kind of Wild West showdown at all times. How's that working? Hal asks, though seemingly the expression on your face answers that. Hal winces and pulls out his palm husk to check it, then puts it away again. I was going to check with Rose and Dave, but fuck it. If he needs a place to stay, he can stay with us. Hell, I feel responsible enough for this that he can stay in my room, and I'll take the lounge plank until he gets somewhere permanent. It's not like either of them will mind anyway, Hal says. I'll keep that in mind. Let Solix know too, will you? And look, between you and me, if you think something's wrong with him today, you message me or call me right away. I'll come down here if he needs me, you tell Hal. You grab a post-it note from a stack by the front and write down your work number and your Trollian handle just in case Hal doesn't already know it. Yeah, of course. Shit, I should go talk to him, Hal says softly and pockets your note. You nod. You can only imagine how guilty Hal must feel about this. It'd be unfair to say that this wasn't anything to do with him, but it's more that his stupid request of Solix revealed a flaw that was already there without anyone knowing. It's not as if that's Hal's fault, but it is still happening because of him. Solix didn't seem pissed at Hal at all, so you're pretty sure things are going to be fine there, but you feel better knowing that Hal can contact you if he needs to. Right, I've got to get to work. Got to do actual work and find somewhere for Solix to live. You sigh. You leave the IT department and find the nearest elevator to go up to your floor. Then it's a few stops on the train and you're at your department. You shoulder your way through the forever broken door into the somewhat misnamed Human Resources. Back in the days of the Alternian military, there didn't really need to be such departments. People were conscripted and did what they were ordered to do. There was certainly admin to work out who was going where and all of that, but not really the kind of work that you do these days. Running a military ship, and running a ship that's the size of several large cities and filled with ordinary people, is an entirely different thing. Sure, some departments that basically are military run just the same, but you're in a finite space and you deal with civilians. You have to allow for people living their lives, running their own companies, as well as maintaining the actual backbone industries of the ship that keep everyone alive. The needed operations of the ship and the free lives of the people in it meet in messy ways, and your job is basically resolving those problems. You walk to your office with the problems you have at hand running through your mind, so much so that you don't see this next problem until it's entirely too late. Carcat, you're late, Rose smiles at you in a way that is both warm and very predatory. Your eyes shift from her to the troll at her side, who looks deeply anxious and clearly wishes he wasn't exactly where he is. Rose, I'm really busy, you sigh. It's really no problem, Doc. I can just... The troll by Rose's side tries to say. It's all right. Carcat is always busy, but he'll be happy to help you. Your problems are important, Zephyros, remember? Rose reminds the guy, who must be one of her patients. You take a deep breath, pinch the bridge of your nose, and then unlock your office and wave them both inside. You check your calendar as you walk to your seat. I didn't have an appointment with you, but what's going on? You ask as you fall into the aged desk chair. Zephyros has been seeing me for a little while, and with his permission, I agreed to bring something up with you. I'm here to support him. He's been having problems with work, and I wanted to get your help on the matter. Rose explains primly and professionally. You look at Zephyros, who is sweating a little and giving you a terrified smile. Your willpower crumbles. You flick your computer on and quickly search up his first name. Between that and his sign, you can pick him out immediately. You open up his profile and glance over it. What's the problem? You ask. Rose gives Zephyros an expectant look, and with a start, he begins talking, probably more because he thinks he's supposed to than he wants to, exactly. Oh, right. I work in maintenance, you see, and, well, I've been stuck on this particular route for a while. No one else seems to want it, and it's not like I can even report it or anything, because it's not like I work with these people or anything, and it's not even me that's involved, he manages to say. You nod and wait for him to keep going. Right, well, it's the security department. There's a few of the guys there, and, well, they're not great to any of us, which I guess is why no one wants the assignment of cleaning there and doing the maintenance work. There's this bronze girl there. I don't even know her name, but they say awful things to her, and I've told my Moirel about it, but he says that people like them are just like that, Zephyros explains. You squeeze your eyes shut and count to 10. You're doing maintenance on the security area in Deck B? Are you talking about one of the officers there, the big blue-blooded... hold on. You pause and pull up a familiar file and then turn your screen. Yes, that's exactly him. Zephyros nods quickly. Zephyros attempted to lodge a complaint with the management in security, and they pulled him out of work for several days so they could run background checks on him. Rose explains. Of course they did. I'm well aware of these assholes, Zephyros. Lotiru Estat in particular. Let me just make a call. You give Zephyros a tight smile and pick up your desk phone. You hold it to your ear with your shoulder and quickly bring up Estat's file on your husktop. That asshole has been a particular thorn in your side for far too long. He's nothing but a smug bully who uses his position of power and security to intimidate other people. You've made it your mission with Terezi to ensure that people like that don't stay in security, or better yet, that they don't get in at all. It's not like you can piss off the whole security department. You need them to come in when things get genuinely bad or violent. They have a place in making the ship safe, but some people just get off on the power. Deck B security used to be fine, but this asshole is making everything worse and dragging other people into his shitty ways of thinking. You dial his number with angry jabs of your finger and wait as it rings. Security, Officer Estat, he answers. Estat, it's Carcat Vantas from HR. I wanted to talk to you about our last conversation with regard to your behavior, you say pleasantly, and lean back in your chair a little. There's nothing wrong with my behavior. People are just too sensitive, Estat hisses, immediately on the defensive. Yes, you mentioned that last time as a way to explain the 8 documented complaints against you. Normally someone with that many complaints about them wouldn't be working in security anymore, you say lightly. That's because I'm good at my job, Estat brags meanly. A very bad idea steals over you, and you smile brightly. Rose notices and gives you a look of interest. Is that why the number of cases you've closed this month has been below the ship average? I spoke to... You reach over your desk phone and cut the call off mid-sentence and then place it carefully back on the receiver. He'll call back, you assure Zephyros as Rose's smile gets very wide indeed. Your phone rings. Carcat Vantas, HR. For your records, all calls... You start, but Estat cuts you off immediately. Listen here, you little prick. There's nothing wrong with the number of cases I close. I just give the easy shit to other people. Ask anyone. He hisses at you. I'm sorry. We got cut off before, and I apologize again. I didn't mean to hit on a sensitive subject there, you say, as politely as possible. Don't get smart with me. You think that just because your Moirel's a heavy sailor that you can just do what you like? Yeah, I know about you, Estat growls in your ear. I'm sorry. Have you been following me? You ask in well-feigned surprise. Like I need to. I can see everyone just as much as you can on your little HR system. So if you think I'm scared of him and that's going to affect anything, then you better rethink, all right? He hangs up on you, the click of the phone loud in your ear. You shift in your seat and open up the file of incoming recorded calls, which, if he'd let you say, then you would have told him that incoming calls are recorded for records. Oops. You type a quick email, but don't send it yet, and then reach for your phone again and hit one of the numbers on your speed dial. It rings once before the other line picks up. Cancri Vantas, he greets you. Cancri, remember I told you about Lotiru Estat before and you said he should get another chance before you'll actually do anything? He asks. That's not exactly what Cancri sighs, but you keep going. He's harassing other people, just like I said he would, and he's getting away with it because his mate spread is in your department. I'm reassigning him like I said I would, and I'm going to get him bounced from the ship if he's not improved by the time we meet up with another ship. That whole department is going bad, and I'm not dealing with all of them. So go do your sensitivity bullshit courses with the rest of them, and I'm reassigning him, got it? You demand.
Karkat, I'm aware that you don't like the man much, but that doesn't mean that he can't do his job.
Cancri sighs. Yeah, you'd think so, except he called up just now and threatened me. Hold on, I'm sending you the file now, you say and send it off. Also, I noticed that he's not even good at his job, literally below average. That's what you're protecting here, you point out.
Karkat, I can't listen if you're talking,
Cancri reminds you. You sit and wait as Cancri listens to the recording you just made, and sure enough, you hear his little gasp of horror. Cancri has a nasty habit of being too political and denying things unless there's proof, but he can't do anything about this. Both because it's not open to interpretation, but also because if you were to tell someone else that Cancri heard this and did nothing, then it'd do nothing for his image.
I told him to watch what he... Oh, I suppose my hands are tied. I'll run a course for the department, and I suppose we can work out what to do with him until then.
His matespert won't be happy, Cancri says glumly. Yes, well, if he wasn't chronically an asshole to everyone, we wouldn't have this problem. Also, I told you so stop getting in my way and let me do my goddamn job. You snap at Cancri and hang up without saying goodbye. You turn to Zephyros, who looks terrified of you now. You smile, but it doesn't seem to help. Thank you for that, Zephyros. I've been trying to fix that problem for a while, and don't worry about people thinking you had anything to do with this. He knows I've been trying to get around my dance sister to deal with him for ages. He'll just think Cancri finally folded. You smile with the wonderful glee of getting to make a problem that's been bothering you for a while someone else's problem. Oh, well, good, I think, Zephyros says hesitantly and glances at Rose. Karkat will do his best to take care of this. You put yourself out there, and you did the right thing. This situation wasn't your fault, but you've made things better. Try to work through the sheets that I gave you between now and next time, and we can talk about the progress you've made. You've done a great job, Zephyros. Rose smiles warmly at him. Thank you. I'll go then, right? Zephyros asks, looking between you and Rose. Rose nods at him and smiles, so Zephyros hastily excuses himself. When your door shuts, Rose looks at you carefully for a quiet second or two. Did you want something else? I have a lot of shit to do today. You sigh as you pull up the current work you've been focusing on, and then also open up the rehousing portal on the HR site. Rehousing isn't strictly your line of work. Despite what people might think, your job is actually more in mediation and less in the admin side of shuffling people around the ship. You help people, actually help people, unlike some people around here who share your last name. Well, of course you're busy, what with, you know. I wanted to talk to you about Solix anyway, Rose says with a wave of her hand. You know about that? You ask in surprise, looking from your screen to her. Of course, Rose says lightly. How? Did Aradia tell Dave or something? I wouldn't have thought she'd have told you herself, you say with a frown. You could buy Aradia telling Dave, but not Dave immediately blabbing to Rose. Then again, Rose is remarkably good at getting information out of people, so maybe he just cracked, but that would have meant that Aradia would have had to have told Dave last night, which doesn't seem right. And Hal doesn't seem like the type to run to Rose when he should be dealing with Solix in person, so... Wait. You look at Rose, who is watching you intently. You didn't know shit, did you? You just baited me, you accuse her. You have no proof. So there is something going on with Solix and Aradia. It wasn't something Hal did, was it? Because I don't believe for a second that they're a thing. Rose tuts. You groan in despair at yourself and at her. When Rose wants to know something, she'll find it out no matter what. It makes her a great therapist and social worker, but a pain in the ass to deal with in your day-to-day life. You much prefer working alongside her when she uses those talents on people causing problems, and between the two of you there's the chance to outsmart assholes and help people in need. It sucks when she uses all that on you. Look, this stays between you and me, promise? You ask. I swear on my professional honor, Rose says, and solemnly nods. Aradia and Solix did break up. Not because of Hal, but he sort of inadvertently revealed a bunch of problems. My current problem is he's sleeping on my lounge plank, and I have to find him somewhere new to live before he and Gamzee destroy each other. Although, Hal did offer your lounge plank, so maybe that's gonna be your problem soon. You tell her. Rose's eyes widen as you talk, and she considers your words for a moment before speaking. Solix and Aradia are completely over? This isn't just a temporary fight? She asks. I don't see them coming back from this, no. So you see why I have a lot to do today. You hint and gesture to your screen. Well, I think I might just be able to solve all of your problems. Rose smiles. She leans back in her chair and crosses one leg over the other. How? You ask suspiciously. Well, after me and my siblings were taken from our home, we were placed in foster care. We were adamant about all being kept together, and we had a lot of special considerations that a permanent caretaker needed to accommodate, Rose explains. Your brothers, Dave being basically blind back then and Dirk and Hal still transitioning. That's why Mr. Egbert was such a good fit. You nod. Dirk and Hal were basically passing when they got moved to your ship as teenagers, but June was still in the process of getting people to stop calling her John, and she inadvertently told you once about Dirk and Hal when she was complaining about her own problems. As far as you're aware, most people know, but it's not like you talk about it ever. It's not really relevant to most things. Right. But before then, we bounced around a lot of homes, which was not a great experience. Moving in with Dad was great, but as soon as we were a little older, the housing department wanted to shuffle us on so some other family could have a hive of that size. That left me and Dave and June living with Dad, but we had to move, and to very much understate the situation, Dave hated it. The only time he moved willingly was when Hal found our 3-bedroom hive, and me and Dave moved in with him. Dave hates moving, and hates living with strangers even more. It's all very traumatic for him, Rose explains. Okay, you prompt her. Well, Dave's had this moratorium on us moving or anyone moving out. I want to move in with Kanaya, but if I do that, there will be a free room in the hive and we'll lose the place, which means he and Hal will have to move again or get a stranger as a roommate. Neither is acceptable. June is staying with Dad since she's still studying. Dirk is now married. Roxy's a nightmare to live with, and Jane lives in medical hives with Branya for their work. To be honest, even if Dave tried, I don't think he could convince Roxy to move because she hates it just as much, so I'm stuck where I am, Rose says. You lean back in your chair and look at Rose carefully. But Hal and Solix are friends, and Solix and Dave are cool with each other. He needs a place to live, and you're willing to swap out because it gets you in with Kanaya. So Solix gets a place to live, Dave doesn't have to move, and Hal presumably assuages any of his guilt, you could conclude. Everyone wins, Rose smiles. And Kanaya's alright with this? You check. Kanaya has been begging me to find a solution to this problem for ages. If we privately make arrangements for Solix, he doesn't have to go through the housing reassignment system, and it all gets done quickly. If Hal feels responsible, I'm sure he'll agree, especially as he offered the lounge plank to Solix. The only person who might need some convincing is Dave, and I don't think it'll take all that much, Rose assures you. You tap your claws on the desk thoughtfully and then turn to your desktop. You type in Dave's name and see that his crew is currently running exercises in the climbing gym, so if you needed to, you could go down there and talk to him in person. You pick up your phone and dial the number for IT. It rings twice, and then Hal's voice fills your ear. Hello, IT. What problem can I help you with? Hal's voice asks pleasantly. It's Carcat. I need to talk to Solix, you say. I can help you with whatever your issue is. What's the problem? Hal's voice persists. No, shut up. I want to talk to Solix and Hal. I know this is... Tell me about the autoresponder, you groan. It seems you have asked about Hal Strider's help desk client autoresponder. This is an application designed to assist the general public who refuse to read the emails we send out to them or Google basic technology problems without otherwise taking up the valuable time of the IT service desk. The algorithms are guaranteed to be 99% accurate at providing solutions with exponentially fewer amounts of blunt force head-to-desk trauma in service engineers. These numbers are, I am required to inform you, basically just pulled out of my ass right now. Connecting you to a live service desk engineer now, Hal's voice says pleasantly. The phone rings again, this time for a good few rings. Long enough for you to briefly fantasize about strangling Hal. Your fucking brother, I swear. You mutter at Rose, who just smiles at you in silent amusement. Hello, IT, Damn it, can I help? Hal asks, sounding out far more stressed out than his program did. It's Carcat. Can you get Solix on the phone? I need to check something with him. Also, hypothetically, would you be okay with him living with you if Rose moved out? You ask. Oh, shit, yeah, that'd work, Damn, Rose works fast. Fist bump her for me as congratulations for high-speed mental manipulation, Hal says, clearly impressed. Absolutely not. Give the phone to Solix, you grumble. I can't, sorry, Hal tells you. What? Why? You ask sharply. He's asleep under his desk. Said he was super tired because apparently he woke up at one point last night with Gamzee staring at him, so he's having a nap. I can tell him what you told me, though. Get him to troll you about it when he wakes up, he offers. You need to have a talk with Gamzee, but that's a problem for later. Okay, yeah, great, you nod, rubbing your temple with your free hand. Will do then. All right, later. Hal hangs up on you, and with a sigh, you set your phone back in place. Solix is sleeping, but Hal's going to ask him about it when he wakes up, you explain to Rose. That works for me, actually. I was supposed to have today off in case there were any post-wedding problems that needed dealing with, but nothing came up. I came in to see Zephyros as an emergency thing, but I'm a little behind on my own paperwork. How about I go do that for a few hours, and then the two of us can go down to wherever Dave is and talk to him together, Rose suggests, looking at her delicate, lavender-faced watch to check the time. You helped Kanaya pick that watch out for her, as it happens. You know Kanaya will be thrilled to have Rose live with her, so if this all plays out as Rose is suggesting, then he'll be making a lot of people happier. Alright, yeah, you'll do it. You agree to Rose's plan and shoo her out of your office. You have actual work to do, especially if you're going to sneak out for what is probably going to amount to an early lunch to get Dave to agree to this move. You've got a whole bunch of cases going on at the moment. A few social work cases that you've been collaborating with Rose on. They're on your desk because Rose has done her part, and now it's your job to go and get relevant parties to sign off on things. One couple is trying to adopt their friend's child since their friend died in an unfortunate engineering accident, and the other parent of that child died 2 years before that due to illness. The poor kid in question is a troll, and the two people trying to adopt her are a mixed species couple. The normal process of a troll child that did have adult human parents or a human and troll parent dying would be to get placed with a Lucis instead, so now it's this huge tug of war between both sides. Thankfully, you make your living by knowing the right people. The ship might be huge, but all you have to do is know a few of the right people and be on good terms with them, and you can really get somewhere. Like, right now, you can see that your contact with the Mother Grub department in Lucis Affairs has told you who you really need to talk to and what your next steps here are. After that, you have to help out someone who's arguing about another business infringing on their intellectual property, and you've got an in with that because one of the guys you helped one time has a kismesis in the internship patenting department. You say that it's not what you know, but who you know. The more people you help, the more connections you make, and the better you can do your job. Cancri takes that particular adage to mean that his work will go easier if he cozies up to people far more politically powerful than him, that he can make their lives easier if certain problems like Estat get swept under the rug. It's remarkably easy to get swept up in your work, enough that when Solix trolls you a few hours in, you're startled at the sudden time change. Yes, this is why you often work through your lunch without meaning to, and why people try not to book afternoon meetings with you because you get hangry without realizing. What of it? What about moving in with Hal? I just woke up and have like half the story because he's doing a shit ton of work at the same time. Right, so Rose is suggesting that she move in with Kanaya because they've both been wanting that for ages and you could have her block. That way, you skip the queue for hive allocation entirely by moving in with Dave and Hal. Would that be something you'd be okay with? You mean since Dave works with AA and Hal's stupid thing set all this off? Yeah, those are essentially the problems that I can see here. But it would mean that you wouldn't be living alone, which would probably be good for you and make me feel a lot happier about this situation. Not that it's about me. What, are you worried I'm going to take a long walk out of a short airlock? The security is too high for that, but I'll just up my concern meter here anyway. It's not like it's unreasonable for me to worry about, Solix. This is a huge deal. Can you not? Just trust me here. I know this comes from a good place, but I can't deal with you fussing. Fine. So, are you in favor or not in favor of taking Rose's block in her hive with Dave and Hal? It's not actually Hal's fault. I'm really not mad at him. Besides, we're friends, so that's something. You and Dave are friends? No, you and Dave are friends. We've never hung out on our own without you. I don't have a problem with him or anything. We're just acquaintances or whatever. I don't not like him. You know what? You not liking him is a step up from the general population, so I'll take it. Final answer before I go ask Dave if he's up for this. Moving in with them, yes or no? Whatever. Solix, I swear to fuck, I'll come down there and beat you with a chair. It's a binary choice. Pick one. Yes, then. Jeez, you're always a bitch before lunch, and I always forget that. Wrong again? I'm a bitch all the time, so fuck you. Get out of your office so we can go talk to your stupid brother.
I would say which one, since that quality hardly narrows it down much, but then we both know that I know you mean Dave.
Okay was 2 letters. That would have been way faster, Rose.
Same to you.
There was a point in your life when that conversation would have gone on far longer, but now you mostly know better. Mostly. You get up, grab your things, and head out of your office. You meet up with Rose in the corridor, who hands you an apple breakfast bar. This is where I'm gonna eat this instead of asking if you're insinuating that I'm hangry, because no one wins in that conversation. You tell her sharply and tear the packaging open.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say that I win.
Rose smiles. She's still smiling when you elbow her. The two of you get the train further along the side of your ship and then catch the cross line to the starboard side. After that, it's a bit of a walk, but eventually you find your way to the climbing gym. As far as you're aware, some insane people do this for fun, but it's the sailors who get first priority when it comes to getting time here. Some sailors, like Gamzee, are specialized in combat, either when dealing with potentially hostile situations between ships, or worse yet, with pirates. It's not unheard of for the fauna on a planet to give people trouble, and his job is very much stopping that from being a problem. Aradia is all about working with the geology of the planets that you come to and helping the engineering crew and the automated extractors get resources that previous passing ships have flagged. That's all well and good, and you don't need to worry about environmental damage when a planet has only a few months before it's gone entirely. Dave's job is, well, technically he's just a sailor, but that's not really what people call that role. He's a jack, as in jack of all trades. He knows enough about most things to be vaguely useful to people, but not so much that he's a specialist that needs to focus on that. So Dave's skill set, along with all the other sailors of his class, is very varied. Go build a shelter, blow that thing up, put an antenna 10 miles that way on a big rock that faces east. In this case, what Dave is presumably training for is climbing work. Just looking up at how high he is makes your digestion sac churn. He's not connected to anything as far as you can see, or maybe he is because you can see a rope going up behind him, but there's nothing ahead of him. You watch as Dave shifts, hooking his foot over a tiny little hold on the wall. You gasp as he takes one hand fully off of the wall, which, given that he's almost totally upside down right now, seems stupid. He reaches between his legs and pulls at the rope which the troll underneath him on the ground hastily spools out for him. Dave shifts back and forward a little before swinging ahead, kicking off with both feet to smack the rope through a glowing ring. Dave hangs by one hand for a second, and then 2. Hey, don't stop or you'll lose it! The guy on the rope shouts up at Dave. You squint at him as you try to summon the name into your head. It only appears when you see his quadrant mate further down the room also watching Dave. The guy with the rope is Asdaja, and that's Conil walking closer with her eyes on Dave. Move it, skinny! She yells up at him, and with a grunt of effort, Dave swings his legs back up onto the wall and then jams his whole hand in a giant crack in the wall. I think he's going to get over the overhang with it on, Asdaja says with a nod. With my weight class on? Conil asks, eyebrows raised. Yup, he nods and lets out a little more rope.
Carcat, what's up?
Nepeta's voice drags your attention back to the ground, and you see her walking across the gym to you and Rose.
We wanted to talk to Dave, but I suppose we'll have to wait until he gets down,
Rose says for you. Nepeta looks up at him and smiles before returning her attention to you.
He's running a test to prove his weight class certification right now, so you'll have to wait a little bit,
Nepeta tells you. Technically, she outranks you in general, but especially over her crew, of which Dave is a member. But then again, as HR, you can veto that. You'd just need a damn good reason, and you don't have one. Not that you feel like doing that anyway. What does that even mean? You ask with a frown as you look up at Dave making achingly slow progress towards the edge of the wall that hangs over the rest. You've no idea how he's going to get over that corner, but it seems like it's going to be much easier when he does.
Everyone who leaves the ship is in a weight class, and we need to be able to carry people who are injured or hurt. So right now, Dave is proving that he can carry his own weight up there, as well as hauling someone in the weight class that Cornel and Jake are in. Gamzee too, actually. Nepeta answers happily.
You stare bug-eyed up at Dave as you try to imagine that he's hauling the weight of your gigantic Moirel up with him. Gamzee might be a lanky fucker, but he's dense with muscle, and there's a lot of him. As someone who's woken up when Gamzee's rolled over in his sleep and got squished in the process, you're more than impressed. Fuck, ah! The sound of Dave cursing and then a final grunt as he throws his leg over the corner of the simulated cliff. Dave's hand slaps the top of the wall, and for all you know, he's still cursing, but there's far too many other people in the gym shouting encouragement up at him. As soon as he's gracelessly hauled himself over that corner, he starts moving with some speed. Estaja is feeding rope up to him at a hell of a speed. At least, he is until you hear a loud metallic clang, and people around break out in congratulatory cheers.
Lean back!
Estaja shouts over the noise, the rope in his hand taut now. There's a vague "I" call from above, and Estaja leans backwards in his own climbing harness thing. You guess his weight offsets Dave's or something? Some kind of pulley system, too?
Lowering!
Estaja calls out clearly and starts to slowly let the rope out. He meticulously keeps one hand on the rope at all times, but the whole thing goes through at a consistent pace. Dave walks backwards down the wall until he gets to the corner, and the way he goes backwards without so much as a flinch makes you grimace in fear. You think at this point you'd have your hands clinging to the rope and be crying for your Lucis, but Dave is just getting lowered down almost like he's completely boneless. In fact, he touches the floor with his feet and then melts back onto the floor with a soft thump as the weight vest around his chest hits the ground before his actual upper body does.
You did it!
Nepeta chirps slightly.
I'd high-five you, but I have noodle arms, and thanks to that hand jam, I think I'm like a pound of skin lighter.
Dave groans.
You did very well. Also, Rose and Karkat are here to see you,
Nepeta tells him brightly. Dave tips his head back to look at you both, his black and red eyes fixed right on you for a second before flickering to Rose.
Don't get up on our account. I wanted to talk to you about something,
Rose says, and crouches down at Dave's side.
Okay, I'm just gonna breathe.
Dave pants and claws at his vest for a bit to try to undo it.
So, it's about Solix,
Rose starts.
Oh, we all know about that. Aradia was supposed to join us tonight for a social and she called out. That really sucks about her and Solix,
Nepeta says sadly. Rough break, Dave agrees and grunts as he shrugs out of the weighted vest and then heaves himself upright.
Good work,
Estaja says and tosses him a red bottle of water with a duct tape label around it that has Dave's name and marker on it. The Alternian letters of his name slightly faded over time and showing the silver tape below. Well, the thing is that he has nowhere to live now, and at the moment he's sleeping on Karkat and Gamzee's lounge plank, Rose explains. Dave grimaces and then opens his water bottle with his teeth and spits the cap into his lap.
That ain't a recipe for anyone to have a good time. Are you asking if he can stay with us? Because of course he can,
Dave says, and you feel a little more heartened about the relationship between Dave and Solix. As far as you know, Solix is right, and they've never spent time alone with each other, but they've spent what must be hundreds of hours in the same group, and they do talk to each other. Solix is just being pessimistic, you're sure of it.
I was actually suggesting that he could have my block and I could finally move in with Kanaya,
Rose says, her tone honest and upfront. You watch as Rose stares her twin down. Dave doesn't seem against it as such, but you can see the way he's chewing the inside of his cheek a little as he thinks.
You know what? Sure. He's cool, and he and Aradia have been together longer than even me and Jade, so... I mean, I get it. I'd be crushed too. Besides, if he stays on Gamzee's lounge playing, someone's gonna get maimed. Plus, we keep the place if it's just a swap with you for Solix. If he and Hal are cool with it, and Kanaya's fine with you moving over, then I'm cool.
Dave nods. No one is getting maimed, you protest, but no one listens.
I trolled her earlier today. She's delighted, to say the least. I can start packing right away, and I'm sure you could move Solix in. Rose smiles.
Not that I'm not always delighted to be your free move shit around guy, but Nep kinda owns my ass right now. I know my job is just the most fun, but I am on the clock,
Dave points out.
No, you're not. You beat your record, and like you said, you have noodle arms right now. Go help pack boxes and move boxes. That's a big part of your job anyway. It's functional training. Besides which, you probably want to move quickly to get Solix's stuff out before Aradia's shift finishes, Nepeta says gently. How about I get started packing when you shower and get things together? We can move me out, and you can get to Solix and Aradia's place afterwards, Rose suggests. I'll sign out the dolly so you can move boxes easier, Nepeta adds helpfully. Dave squints at his boss and his sister suspiciously, though both Rose and Nepeta look as innocent as can be.
Getting the feeling that I don't exactly have a lot of choice here, but fine, help me up, Dave says with a sigh. He holds his hand out to Nepeta, who hauls him to his feet. You wrinkle your nose a little at the sweaty outline on the floor from where Dave was just sitting. The sleeveless shirt he was wearing under that weighted vest is drenched too. The idea of an athletic guy sounds nice until you work out how much sweating there is involved in that, and despite what you just watched Dave do and how much weight he just carried up with him, he still doesn't exactly look strong. He's not built like Equius, even if he is seemingly stronger than he looks.
As if I would ever manipulate you,
Rose gasps in offense, and Dave just rolls his eyes at her. Since this is all sorted now, I'm going to go back to work, you announce. Oh, gross. Paperwork? Sitting at a desk? So tacky and uncool. I can't believe you'd say such things in my presence, Karkat. Dave gasps in mock horror. You flip him off, of course, and Dave covers his mouth with a hand like he's so terribly scandalized. How dare you? I'll report you to... Oh, I see why you got the job now. It's just so you can flip people off with impunity, isn't it? He accuses you gleefully.
It's listed as one of the perks of the job, Rose agrees.
Well, thank you both and fuck you both. I'm leaving. Nice seeing you, Nepeta. You're polite to her, at least, and she beams at you cheerfully and waves you off.
You return to your office alone this time, seeing as you don't count the rap that you got to go as company. It's a really sad state of affairs when food counts for company. You get back to work, and for a bit you eat with one hand and type with the other. There's always so much work for you to do, and you know some consider your work boring or soulless. Just looking at your earliest childhood friends, Aradia's an archaeologist and sailor, Tavros is a vet, Solix works in IT, which isn't massively exciting, but it gives him all kinds of time to code fun things out of hours, and you know he actually does like the problem-solving parts of his job. Nepeta is a staff sergeant with the sailors, which means she's in charge of a crazy number of people. Kanai is a fashion designer, Terezi's in law. Vriska... Well, you don't talk about Vriska. But beyond her, Equius is a goddamn robotics prosthetics doctor, Gamzee's a sailor too, and Airden and Feferi are now off with the Alliance leaders trying to forge a new era in your post-planetary lives. And here you are, Karkat Vantus, descendant of a revolutionary who died for his cause, and you work in HR. It doesn't sound like anything, but it really is. You can't yell the universe into submission, but you've planted your feet right where you are, and you will yell, negotiate, badger, harass, and press for legislation to help people. Is some douchebag in the housing department being a prick to a resident and saying that they damaged things they didn't, or refusing to fix things? Someone only has to tell you, and you'll go give the right people hell until the people who need help are helped. Some creep sexually harassing someone at work? They're going to get your wrath, and if they really get on your bad side, you'll make them go listen to one of Cancre's endless seminars. You like fixing other people's problems. It's way easier than problems that affect you. On that particular note, your mind keeps trying to go back to what you heard about Gamzee, that he was creeping Solix out by watching him sleep. But it's not like you saw it, or that Solix complained to you about it personally. This sort of rumor mill thing doesn't go well, and you'd really, really rather avoid having to talk to Gamzee about how he treats Solix. Not that the conversation the other way around goes any better. Gamzee can be difficult sometimes. You know, his chuckle voodoos can leak out sometimes, which can make entirely innocent things seem creepy as shit, and that's not really his fault. Besides, if you ask him and it just turns out that he was getting up in the night to piss and happened to be all voodoo-y when he looked over at Solix, then that'd explain it. Except now you've caused a problem by bringing it up. You really don't feel good about any of this. This is what you mean when you say that other people's problems are easier. You bury your feelings in work and only realize that you stayed half an hour late when you just happened to glance at the clock. The train ride back home isn't any more or less annoying than usual. It's mundane enough that you're thinking of dinner right until you walk into the door of your hive. The door snaps closed behind you and you stagger with dizziness, your breath stuck in your chest. You feel like you're drowning as your blood pressure beats at an off-kilter rhythm. Everything around you is dark, far too dark, and your ears are filled with a voice, low and rasping as it sings out a deep melody. It's just chuckle voodoos, you're fine. You drag in a breath because you can breathe, it's all in your head that you can't. The voice, Gamzee's voice, is coming from the ablution block, and so you stagger and stumble that way, even as the floor seems to tip and sway under your feet. Gamzee! You shout out, drowning out the song from where it's burrowing into your think sponge. Gamzee's head whips around from the mirror, and you swear his eyes are going black around the edges, like an endless darkness drowning out the yellow of his irises. He rushes you and grabs you. You think you might have been about to fall. I didn't hear you come in. I didn't hear you, Gamzee says soothingly as the world abruptly starts to right itself. Pulling back to look at him, you see that his face is half painted. That must have been why he was at the mirror. He was only halfway done. What the fuck? Were you singing? Did I imagine that? You ask, not sure what was just the voodoos and what was reality. Yeah, it was nothing. Just a thing. A song from work. Sorry I caught you. Gamzee apologizes and runs his thumb over your cheek. It was an accident, and you thought you were alone. You rub at your temples. Your think sponge still feels a little squirmy. Hey, how about we get some food in you? Make you feel all kinds of better after that. Just let me finish my face, Gamzee suggests as he sets you on the floor and picks up his paintbrush again. Yeah, of course. It's just you and me again. Solix found somewhere to move in. Or, I guess it was Rose's idea. She's moving in with Kanaya, and he's moving in with Dave and Hal. You explain. Gamzee snorts dismissively and paints near his eye with a careful hand. That ain't gonna go well for him. Gamzee tuts. I thought you wanted Solix out of here. Besides, the three of them get on. Everyone wins. You argue. Oh, Solix will be fine. He ain't the one I mean, Gamzee says vaguely. You frown and consider that Gamzee must know very little about Hal, so by process of elimination... You think there'll be a problem with Dave? You ask. Solix and Dave will be like a hive on fire. Don't worry, Gamzee says, keeping still as he lines near his eyebrow and then pulls back to look at himself assessingly. If they're going to get on well, then why did Gamzee say... Oh, whatever. You're used to Gamzee's ramblings often being nonsensical, and you don't have the energy to chase each vague statement down. You hold your hands out and see that the shaking has basically stopped. You're used to shaking chuckle voodoos off mostly by now. It usually happens if Gamzee has a bad dream. It's pretty rare for you to both be awake and have this happen. Where do you want to go, little diamond? Gamzee asks as he turns to you with a lazy smile and ruffles your hair between your horns. Curry? You suggest, and Gamzee gives you a little nod, like he doesn't have any strong feelings either way and is happy to do what you want. Dinner is nice, and it's only when you're on your way home when you get a message on Trollian from Solux. It's a picture message with a huge open pizza box on the coffee table at the Strider's place. Just in the corner of the picture, you can see either Dave or Hal's hand retreating out of frame with a big slice. You guess they moved him in just fine. When you go to sleep, you've entirely forgotten about Gamzee's weird chuckle voodoo episode, but all the same, a frenetic and uneven beat runs through your dreams with vague words humming between your synapses.
When I woke up this night, a ship was sinking. Now the lifeboat is wrecked and the ship is sinking. The lookout is drunk and the ship is sinking. And fire is loose and the ship